Your character is fast asleep and they are having a nightmare. How do you act a nightmare? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about acting a nightmare while you're still asleep, and then also waking up from a nightmare suddenly, which you see in tons and tons of movies and films out there. A nightmare is going to be during the REM stages of sleep. Rapid eye movement, REM. That's when your brain is most active in its storytelling process. That is when your eyes dart back and forth very rapidly. You want to show a little bit of flickering of the eyes because your eyes will flicker. Your eyelids will flutter a little bit. And if you've ever watched a dog having a nightmare, a dream, you might see their paws moving, twitching. Maybe pick a part of your body that is moving, depending on the frame of your shot or how close you are to your audience. Now, humans, we often will make audible noises when we're having a nightmare, but they're not full on like we are feeling in the nightmare. They're just sort of minor moans and groans. And oftentimes we might speak.
Stop it.
Let's say you're trying to wake up from a nightmare in a film or on stage. You want to ramp up that intensity, and then you want to burst open. This will be dictated by the staging of the shot, but you want to decide, does your character sit full up? Are they sweating? Breathing heavily? How bad was this night? Was it just sort of a psychological nightmare and you wake up and you're relieved? You've got to give your character something to play once they realize that they've woken up from the nightmare. Otherwise, it won't be as effective. You're usually relieved, you're usually scared, you're usually confused. It takes a moment to recover from that nightmare. But sometimes you are not relieved because the nightmare is still a reality in your life. It's something you're hashing out and reworking. So you have to decide what objective your character is playing after they wake up from the nightmare. I've had a couple nightmares where I have just bolted out of bed, just screamed, basically. Those nightmares that are sort of like existential in nature, like everything in your life is wrong kind of thing. See, they're sudden and you yell and they're audible, and then there's others that just wake up more softer. They're usually sudden. You might wake up from a dream and it's not so sudden. And you're sweaty. You know, getting into that frame of mind and deciding the moment that it happens and just really acting on that moment. How bad was this nightmare? Usually in film is really bad, you know, but sometimes you might just be having a bad dream and not really a nightmare. Think about the specifics of your character and what they're dreaming about and what they're waking up into and how they feel about that after the fact. And then add all those little physiological traits, the rapid eye movement, the slow breath, moaning words perhaps, flickering of the eyelids, fluttering, and that will give your nightmare much more believability. So your character has just had a nightmare. Do they have a heart attack because of that nightmare? Or do they get up and stumble blindly in the dark? Heart attack or stumble blindly in the dark?